Do you want to know what to expect with broody hens? Well, first, what is a broody hen? A broody hen is a female chicken who decides to sit on a clutch of eggs and chooses that she would like to raise some chicks. So if you have a pullet or a hen that has decided that she wants to sit on a clutch of eggs, you'll notice that she will be sitting on that clutch of eggs during the daytime as well as at night. Now, they will still come off the nest to eat, drink, forage, and to dust bathe, socialize with the rest of the flock, and that's totally normal chicken behavior. And they will return to that nest. As long as they're not off the nest for more than an hour, those eggs will be fine. The biggest indicator for me when my hen goes broody is that I find her sleeping in the nesting box at night. And then I realize, okay, she's thinking about going broody, and she'll be gathering eggs and creating her clutch. When she stops laying eggs, I know that she is now broody. She is gonna sit on those eggs. So you want to make sure that you mark the eggs that she's sitting on with a pencil so that you know the eggs are the original clutch that she's sitting on. Because a lot of times other members of the flock will go in and they'll lay eggs when she steps off the nest, and then you'll have additional eggs on there. It's better to keep the original clutch and remove those fresh eggs so that the eggs hatch all around the same time. Now, if you have chickens and you'd like them to hatch their own eggs, you can encourage broodiness in a hen. You can do so by, instead of gathering your eggs every single day, multiple times a day, you leave some of those eggs in a nesting box, and you may have a hen or pullet decide, ooh, that's a clutch that I could sit on, and then she may start sitting on them. Now, if you don't want your hens to go broody, then just make sure you're gathering those eggs several times a day. That way there's no eggs for them to be sitting on long term. However, they still may go broody on you, but without eggs to sit on, then they're not able to hatch those chicks. If you do decide to go forward with having your broody hen hatch eggs, make sure that your hatching eggs are fertilized. What that means is you need a rooster in your flock that is mating with your pullets and hens to give you hatching eggs. Or you can order some hatching eggs online or from a local breeder that has fertile hatching eggs to place under your broody hen. You certainly can remove eggs that are not fertilized and switch them out for eggs that are fertilized. You just want to ideally do it during the dark of night when the hen is in a restful state, and you can just slip your hand under there, remove the original eggs, and put fertile hatching eggs underneath her, so that way she has the best chance at raising chicks. The amount of eggs that your hen can sit on all depends on the size of your hen. So she just needs to be able to cover all of the eggs that she's sitting on with her body in order to keep all those eggs equally warm. So you don't want to put more eggs than what can fit underneath her. But ideally you should put at least a few eggs, because you are going to have some eggs that may not have been fertilized, or eggs that have early embryonic deaths, or just unfortunately don't fully develop and hatch. So to give the best odds of her actually hatching chicks and relieving her of her broodiness, your best bet is to put a few eggs. Personally, I usually like to do about 7 eggs, but it all depends on what she decides to sit on, and with my broody hens, I've had them sit on up to 12 eggs. It can just vary a little bit there. As far as the location for your hen going broody, typically they choose where they want to go broody, and that's usually where they want to stay. Take Charlotte, for example. She decided to go broody in this nesting box, which is one of the main nesting boxes, and it's on an elevated surface. Not ideal for raising chicks in there. I tried to move her, but she just went right back up here and went on a different clutch of eggs instead. She did not want to be moved, So if you have a hen that goes broody, it is possible to move them to a safer chick rearing location. However, you may have to turn an area into a maternity ward, if you will, in order to keep her and the chicks safe when it comes to hatching time. Right below her is a nesting box on the floor where Fern had been sitting on hatching eggs for 21 days, and she just hatched out 3 baby chicks who she's raising down below. And that was really easy for me to just put some chicken wire up to make a little maternity ward for her and her chicks. That is to keep her and the chicks separated from the rest of the flock so that she can mother her chicks without the worry of the rest of the flock pecking at the chicks while they're newborn babies. There are plenty of people who will raise their chicks right from the get-go with the whole flock. It is certainly possible. You just have to watch for any pecking from the other flock members, which some pecking is completely normal, but if it continues, it's something that can be dangerous for your newborn baby chicks. I personally like to wait till the chicks are a couple weeks old before I start letting them have some visits with the flock, and I supervise those interactions just to make sure that everybody gets along okay. It does help that the broody mama and her chicks are visible to the rest of the flock because she's in the chicken coop with everybody. They're just separated by chicken wire, and so the integration process tends to go very well. Usually my broody mamas will raise their chicks for about 6 weeks and then they fly the coop. And what I mean by that is she'll actually leave the chicks and she'll go and roost back up with the rest of the flock at night. In that instance, in my case, my roosters take over at that point and they snuggle with the chicks at night and take over a lot of the parenting, and it's really, really sweet to see. But a broody mama, they go through those 21 days of sitting on a nesting box, and then they sit on their chicks, keeping them warm for those 4 to 6 weeks, and at some point they'll just say, okay, I've had enough, I'm ready to join the rest of the flock. And those chicks are on their own at that point. But if you have roosters in your flock, it's really nice that they'll step in and teach those chicks what to do from there. Okay, so you've determined your hen is broody. She's sitting on her eggs. You've labeled the eggs so you know which ones are hers. You check them each day to remove any new ones. I do like to candle the eggs at day 7 and take away any eggs that are infertile. So some people don't do any candling and they say the hen will remove any eggs that are not viable. I don't like to take that chance with exploding eggs and everything, so I personally wait till it's dark out in the evening and I will candle the eggs and just remove anything that is infertile, or at 7 days. Then again at 14 days I will candle them again at night and I will remove any eggs that have had an early embryonic death or have stopped developing at some point. And then lastly, on day 18, right before lockdown, where there's only 3 days left till hatching day, that's when I make the final decisions as to which eggs have bouncing baby chicks in there. Those last 3 days, day 19, 20, and 21, I want her to be in a safe area so that nobody is coming in and kicking her off her nest. She really needs to be focused on sitting on those eggs and allowing them to hatch. So at that point is when I set up the maternity ward to keep her separated from the rest of the flock. And so what that means is she's in an enclosed area. She has her own food, her own water, her own dust bath. That way she has everything she needs in that area for her. As for food, I personally feed Purina Start and Grow Chick Starter. The reason I give my broody hen Chick Starter for those last 3 days and while she's raising the chicks is because those chicks, when they are born, they're going to be eating Chick Starter feed. That's going to give them the optimal nutrition they need to grow. While a hen has gone broody and she's sitting on a clutch of eggs, she stops laying eggs. And while she's raising those chicks, she's not laying eggs either. So she doesn't need all the calcium that's included in a layer pellet. So feeding her the start and grow chick feed allows me to just place one type of food in the maternity ward for her and the chicks to both eat. Typically, I have my newborn chicks in the maternity ward with their broody mama for usually a couple weeks, and once they're a little bit bigger, then I start bringing them out for supervised visits with the flock. And so they'll come out for little bits of time, and I'll just monitor the situation on how the flock interacts with the chicks and make sure that there's not too much pecking going on. And then I'll return them back to the maternity ward for while I'm not supervising them. And I'll gradually increase those visits until I feel comfortable that everybody is getting along and that the chicks are fairly safe with the rest of the flock. And eventually they'll all live together happily. In my experience, once my chicks are around 6 weeks old is when the broody mama has had enough, and she will leave the chicks to go sleep up in the roost with the rest of the flock. And so at that point is when my roosters will typically step in and raise the chicks. The best part about broody hens raising their chicks is you don't need to hang heat lamps. You don't have to worry about that additional heat source, because the broody mama is going to keep them warm underneath her belly and take care of them, make sure that they're eating and drinking. So you just need to make sure that they have their chick feed always available and fresh water. And mama hen's gonna do all the rest, which is really nice. And it's such a joy to watch the mama hen raising her babies and teaching them everything she knows, from dust bathing, foraging, and just interacting with the flock. So now you know, hens can go broody, and they will sit on their clutch of eggs for 21 days. They'll raise those baby chicks up, and then when the chicks are around 6 weeks of age, give or take a bit, they will allow them to raise themselves at that point with the rest of the flock. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer your questions. If you'd like to see more videos, we have a chicken care playlist as well as a chick care playlist with lots of informative videos about raising chickens and chicks. We also have a video called "Will Chickens Adopt Baby Chicks?" So this would be the case if your broody hen sits on eggs that don't hatch. The question being, can you give them chicks to adopt? So that video talks all about that. You should definitely check it out. Here is one of the chicks that was just born 3 days ago to our broody mama, Fern. And this little baby is doing so well. Fern is being a great mom, and she is teaching this little baby and its 2 siblings everything it needs to know about being a little chicken. So if you'd like to have a farm and raise some baby chicks, what are you waiting for? Get your farm on.
And what are you waiting for? Get your farm on. So, we have some baby chicks. So if you want to get any, just come here. And we got a lot more inside that we'll give away. So if you want to come, just come. If you want to get any. So, just come. Subscribe.
1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want a farm? A wicked awesome farm? Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah, welcome to our show.